All right, so what's up, everyone? This is Aztec 101. Shit, I was just about to jump on and do the Wilder post fight video, and I noticed that Dstyle fucking did a video responding to my questions. I don't know if he got to the questions. I watched a part of it and just decided I'm gonna do a response. Um, D Style, I'm gonna tell you the same shit that I told outside the ropes. The views and expressions. I don't know why I have to make this public announcement of the people leaving comments in my videos. They don't match my own. They don't. You know, you're relaying the comments that say, talking about certain people are victims and they have this victim mentality. I've never said that about anybody. Never said that about anybody. Me talking about um, within context of gun control and law-abiding citizens and who I fear having guns. Um, I'm gonna bring up altercations I've had with people with guns, and guess what? Those were cops. It's not a victimization. It's a fact. And here's the problem that I have with the way that you word it, or even the fact that you brought it up. It's that even though you've done videos, and I've seen you do a video, on whenever there's a shooting and police that have actually attacked innocent people. I think you did one in regards to the one that was shown on Facebook Live. I think you did a video on that one. Um, but regardless, I've also done videos before. I did a video showing the protests that happened here in actually in Santa Ana, and talked about the protests in Anaheim, the relationship between the people here and the police. So within context, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. But don't use like the other people's comments to make a point about me, because it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick. It's not, those are not my views. Whether I respond to them or not, I don't have time to challenge everyone that's on my comment section. Sometimes I'll challenge them, sometimes I don't. And if you look at it, I think that person that ended up leaving the comment, I ended up telling them that I said something like, I have a lot of respect for black people and as a group who have overcome over the years adversity, and it's the same kind of respect that I would have for my own people who have also overcame adversity. I worded it different, but pretty much said the same shit. um, I don't expect you to address that, because I don't know what it is that you're trying to imply. Well, I think I do. I think I have an idea of what you're trying to imply, but it was neither here nor there. It has nothing to do with, you know. I simply asked you, like, why the fuck are you? It's very simple. It's very simple. You waited until Boxing Librarian shut down his channel, and the video that you did, I mean, you broke down Boxing Librarian down to, that it's sad. It's sad that he turned into a troll, and it's pathetic, and you really stooped him down. I'm not here to defend Boxing Librarian like that. The point was that I found it funny that you wait until fucking someone does it, someone leaves the community, and then you're free to speak your mind, right? Now, check this out, man. I don't know. You say you're looking at my comment section, and there's comments being left about, oh, people in Texas, they don't want to admit that they're Mexican and da 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 da. And I can see why you would defend that. So I'm going to clarify, I don't feel any way, shape, or form that you're not proud of who you are. So if I made you feel that that is my intention or my message, no. Some of my commenters, some of the people that watch you, if they jump to that conclusion, that's their conclusion. But that's not mine. I don't feel like you have to go out of your way to prove that you are proud to be Mexican. I think you're content with who you are. I think I don't have that feeling whatsoever. So I'll make that clear. And I'll actually publicly apologize if I've made you feel like as if you're not, like as if you're ashamed to be who you are. You know what I mean? Because that's not my intention. There's other beef I have with you. I don't like the way you talk behind people's back. I don't like the way, I don't like that on a lot of people, man. And I see that. That's a common thread in this YouTube boxing shit, man. But as far as you being Mexican, no. I don't want you to feel that way, because that's wrong. You know what I mean? That's not my point of view. So yeah, just to clarify, Dstyle, no, I don't think that you're a sellout or you're ashamed of being Mexican or. And then my response to that comment, saying that it happens here in Southern California too. That's not me saying that I agree that that's who you are. But at the end of the day, there is kind of a that feeling too amongst some Mexican Americans. And I'm sure you've seen that before. But again, it's not something I've seen from you. You don't have to tell me that you listen to Tigres del Norte or that you speak Spanish or that you don't have to prove it to me. It's not that big a deal. But there's you have this idea that I'm painting myself as a victim. I could do a lot better job playing the victim role. I could join the LDBC. If I really want to be a victim, I could. Why not? Right? There's certain times where you and I have gone back and forth. In one of those instances, you asked me directly to do a video on white supremacy, on whether I believed it existed, which was a random fucking question. A random fucking question, because you were challenging my point of view on race. Right? And I did the video. Right? I don't know if you agreed with it or not. I don't know. I don't care. You say I was trying to sound intelligent. You keep using this word like as if I think I'm smarter than what I am. I've never considered myself smart. I don't go around patting myself on the back on how many books I read, how intelligent I am, my IQ. I don't make these self-proclaiming comments. I don't walk around like that. Now, if you feel like I'm smart, and then I might say something you disagree with, then maybe you're going to be like, that guy's not as smart as he thinks he is. But that was your initial reaction. If you think I'm smart, that's not me coming out saying, oh, well, I'm the brightest fucking crayon in the box. No. There was a while back, like this one kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Me and you were kind of going back and forth, debating on certain things, and shit was light, right? I remember I did this video talking about how I don't think that there won't be a Mexican American that represents the United States in boxing, right? Like, a Mexican American will not represent the United States in boxing. Like, become a figure like Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Mike Tyson, right? There will not be a Mexican American fighter that gets to that level. And your response to me was, well, of course there is. There's Oscar De La Hoya. You know, and the funny thing is that obviously I was trying to make a bigger statement, right? Trying to talk about something that's a little bit bigger. Something that we see, we see this in politics and media, you know, lack of representation of our people. We are not a minority like African Americans. There's a lot more than us than there are of African Americans. Yet representation in media and politics, movies, everywhere, we don't see us represented. So within the context of boxing, seeing how I do not see any of these young Mexican American boxers being able to get to that point where I'm going to say, well, yeah, look, Jesse Vargas looks like he could be the face of boxing for the United States. Jesse Magdaleno looks like he could be the face of boxing in the United States. How about Jojo Diaz? Could also be the face of boxing. We don't see this. There's that will not happen. There'll be more likely other fighters that will be selected above them. So the topic I was talking about was much bigger than just, well, I would like to see one Mexican American become the face of boxing. The context I was talking about was more the acceptance in general, the awareness and the representation of our people in media, and specifically boxing within that conversation. But I could have taken that conversation to Hollywood, music, politics. It could go to other places, but sticking with boxing, I was talking about and just scratching the surface on something much bigger. And I found it interesting that instead of you on the hand of being one of the only Mexican American boxing channels that are also on here, I would think you would come on there and say, yeah, you know what? I see that too. But instead you challenged me. And you challenged me with saying that it was Oscar De La Hoya. We got Oscar De La Hoya. So it bothered me a little bit. Like, you're content with just having one. Like, you're okay with that. I was trying to balance out and trying to see where you were coming from, but I would have to ask you so you can get an explanation, so I can get an explanation. Oh shit, I noticed that Dstyle. Okay, so you're on my comment section now. Let's see here. So Dstyle boxing, and we're going to get back to you stating a fact. I get you were stating a fact, man. Yeah, I understand. You were stating a fact that that Oscar De La Hoya was big in the United States and that he represented the USA in the Olympics, right? You stated a fact. But it's not a fact that he represented the United States as the face of boxing, as a figure. Did he represent the United States, or did he represent Mexicans and Mexican Americans? Do you feel that he made the same impact as far as representation as someone like maybe Joe Louis or Ali, or let's say we even take Roy Jones Jr. or Sugar Ray Leonard? Let's take Sugar Ray Leonard. No, he didn't. He represented a group of Americans, the Mexican Americans. But let's go back. Let's go back to a little bit because there's something that I wanted to bring up now that you're on here. I don't know if you listened to the beginning of my video, but let's clarify something before I move forward. Even though you see in my comment section comments from viewers, they do not, and I repeat, they do not reflect my own opinions. They don't. And you'll see me challenge a lot of the viewers that they'll come on constantly, but I'm challenging them. Not always. I don't always have the time to respond to every comment, but when I get a chance, yeah, I do. And when the commenters on my comment section are saying that, you know, you are a traitor, or you know, you don't like other Mexicans, or you're ashamed of being Mexicans, I'm going to tell you straight up right now. If I made you feel like I think that, I'm sorry. That was not my intention. I do not in any shape, way, or form think that you are ashamed of being Mexican, and I don't think you have to go out of your way to prove I don't agree with that sentiment being done to other people. And I don't want to do that to you because it's unfair. So as far as that goes, there's an official apology. Like, yeah, I'm honestly sorry about that. I don't want you to feel like I think you're a traitor or something. I don't think that of you whatsoever, at all. But now that I got that out of the way, let's do this. I'm going to start off with your first comment. It wasn't random. Nothing I do is random. I wanted you to see what happened when you did that video. I knew Precise Presenter would respond. I knew it would cause conflict with people in your comment section. Yeah, but the crazy thing about it is, what makes you think that I'm close with some of those people that leave these comments? What makes you think that I have some kind of relationship where I wouldn't know what was going to happen? So if your intention, I thought you were honestly curious to know what I thought about white supremacy. But if you were just doing that so I can see that Precise Presenter was going to jump in, well, then you could. I already knew that was going to happen. Shit, I did a direct response to Precise Presenter. I think I don't know if it was before that or after that, which had nothing to do with that white supremacy shit. But it was just a response calling him racist based on what I've seen as far as the content of his videos. Now, mind you, when I call people racist, it's because of the content of their videos. Not their comment section, the content of the videos, the things that are said by the actual uploader. So you spend a lot of time in your response to me talking about my comment section. You know, there's nothing I could do about that. Those are not my ideas. But let's see here. Dstyle boxing, and I said Oscar De La Hoya was, and he was. Mexican fighters don't lack support, or people support Mexican fighters. Mexican fighters don't lack support. No, I'm not talking about Mexican fighters. I'm talking about Mexican American fighters. Okay? Chicano fighters. Mexican fighters have their country. Mexico will support its own country. Yes, they have enough to thrive. But Mexican American should not just depend on other Mexican Americans. That is where we start talking about certain racism. That's when we start talking about, you know, prejudices and racism within certain industries. If this was a perfect country where there's no racism and no racism exists, then we would see an even and equal representation in media, politics, in anything from different races. But there is a glass ceiling on some of this shit. So the topic I was talking about was much deeper than just looking for one person. And I think that flew over your head. Either that, it didn't flow over your head, or the reason why you did the response was to shut me down, like to shut down the argument. Either way, at the end of the day, my point was still bigger than your response. My point was still broader. It was much more generalized than your response. Your response is very specific. There was Oscar De La Hoya, so boom, conversation over. Oscar De La Hoya was able to accomplish this, and that's it. So my question is, isn't it a problem that the only person that you can give as an example is Oscar De La Hoya? Wouldn't it be an issue if there's only one example? Just one example. Over hundreds of years of us being here, there's only one example. There's a problem. So that problem I was addressing. Let's see here. Dstyle boxing. Well, blacks are just a small percent of the population. Your problem is with white America. But until Mexican Americans support Mexican American fighters more than they support Mexican nationals, we can't ask blacks and whites or anyone else to do anything. No one's asking them to do anything. I was addressing a problem. I don't know what to do. How to solve the problem? I don't know. If you would have taken this conversation to how do you fix the problem, I wouldn't have a problem with your response. But the fact that you tried addressing it as if there was no problem, as if there is no issue, it's fine the way it is. Then I'm thinking like either this guy is fucking blind or he's okay with being held back. He's okay. He sees it happen, pretend that it's not going on. And I don't think, I don't think that's where your mind was at. I think you were so focused on shutting down my argument without looking at the big picture. So yeah, no one was asking in that video. No one was asking African Americans or white Americans to go out of their way to support Mexicans. The question was, what can we do? How do we fix it? Why is it happening? It's addressing an issue. Now, I'm not pretending like I have the answer to it. But Dstyle, you got to understand, when I'm asking and bringing up this issue that seems very important to other Mexican Americans that watch boxing, that would like to see their fighters go up and become more recognized and get on ESPN, not just Mikey Garcia, there's plenty of other Mexican American fighters that deserve a shot to be up there with Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Wilder. There's plenty of other fighters, but we don't see them up there. We don't see them get this kind of attention. And the question is, how do we fix that? But with you, your response is, there is no issue. We had Oscar De La Hoya, job's done. So yeah, I had a problem with it, mainly because I know that there is an issue, but either you didn't want to talk about it because then we're going to have to get into a conversation about race. You want to avoid that, or you just try to shut down the conversation altogether. I was only addressing your notion that there never will be a Mexican American fighter be the face of boxing. I was simply saying that there had been a Mexican American that was the face. The point, it's possible. Yeah, lightning can probably strike twice. Yeah, it can. But this should not be Like, oh, it's possible. We have too many fighters, too many excellent champions that are coming out of the United States that are of Mexican descent for it to just be possible rather than it actually happening. Do you understand that? It's not far-fetched, seeing the landscape the way it is, that it's hard to see how long are we going to wait until there's another Oscar De La Hoya? Are we going to wait another 50 years, 60 years, 100 years? You say that African Americans are a small percentage, and they are. They are a small percentage, but they seem to get more done, because these conversations, if they were to have it from their perspective, they actually entertain these type of conversations instead of shutting it down. And they actually speak their mind. And, with us, with Mexicans, we're like crabs. We're always pulling each other down. And someone like me, I'm trying to bring up an issue, and someone like you is trying to bring me down, saying, no, that's not a problem. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. We've done this once. We might be able to do it again. I don't know. So at the end of the day, there's a bigger picture in the conversation I was having. So me saying that I don't see there being a Mexican American becoming the face of boxing. Yeah, it's kind of honest, man. With the landscape, I don't see it happening. I mean, unless you can name someone that's coming up that looks like they could take over, like they could become the face, like they have the potential, and it could happen. Name one, because there's a lot of talented fighters coming from the United States of Mexican American descent, and there is a glass ceiling on how far they can reach. And there will be favoritism on what can sell and what can't. And the fact is that that the topic I was bringing up was just a little bit broader than the way you took it. But let's see here. Spence isn't the face of boxing. Dude, again, it's going over your fucking head. Spence isn't the face of boxing, but he's closer to becoming it than anyone of Mexican American descent. Then Jojo Diaz, undefeated fighter. He's a champion. He's from here, Southern California. I think he's from Norwalk or Whittier. So who the fuck is talking about Jojo Diaz? I've talked about Jojo, but who else? Who else is interested in Jojo Diaz? The only reason why we're talking about Canelo is because he fought Floyd. Without Floyd, no one would be talking about Canelo. Right? So certain fighters need certain people. So we need African Americans too to be able to reach the top, because it opens up doors for other people, other fighters. The same way that people wanted to see, Sean Porter or Keith Thurman, or, how they would say they wanted to see a black fighter fight, get a chance at Floyd Mayweather, because that's kind of the only way you can become the face of boxing, is by beating the number one guy. The same way that they wanted that to happen. I mean, what are you going to do a video and tell them that, hey, you don't need another black fighter to be the face of boxing. You already have Floyd. Are you going to go and tell them, like, hey, you know what? There's really nothing holding African Americans back in the sport. There's no prejudice. There's nothing going on. And what are you going to do? Are you going to use the same argument with them, saying, hey, you can't expect Mexicans to support your fighters. You can't expect that. Is that what you're saying? Because you're talking about a straw man argument. Your argument is not universally you can't use it in other situations. You're only using it with the Mexican, and that's the problem. That's kind of like where I start seeing, what is your intention? Now that I have you in the comment section, you can explain it. No, Aztec, but if a black guy did a video saying that there's never been a black guy be the name of boxing, I would say that's wrong. Yeah, you would. Exactly. You would say that's wrong. Because there's been plenty, right? There's been plenty. There's been a lot more examples than just one. We have one. That is not good. Italians have more than we do. And we are a larger percentage. That is not good. There is an issue. And I don't know what you're trying to still say. Are you still trying to say that you're okay with it? That there is no issue? That it's not worth addressing? Again, you're too worried about me saying that they're too literal. Too worried about me saying that there will never be the face of boxing. So your only train of thought, 1 + 1 is 2, is saying, well, Aztec said there will never be a Mexican American that will be the face of boxing, but there was Oscar De La Hoya. Boom, case closed. Walk away, shut the door. Instead of looking at what was the context of that he was talking about. Is there an issue here? Because there is. We got one fighter that we could say has been the face of, gotten close to being the face of boxing for the United States. One. Listen, that's not my point, so obviously your conclusion is wrong. No, look, man, I can only base on what you say, bro. That was your response. Your final response was to tell me that my video was ridiculous because we had Oscar De La Hoya. So boom, there it goes. So maybe I got your conclusion wrong, but that's how you presented your conclusion, bro. You presented it that way. And it does look weird when I'm trying to point out a bigger issue, something that's more of a social issue rather than just boxing. And you shut it down. It does look a little bit weird. Are you trying to be right, or do you want to instead understand my point? All I can say is I haven't heard you trying to explain your point. Like I'm literally trying to tell you how I received the information. I'm telling you how I'm processing it. I made a video talking about an issue. You shut it down. You made your point. Did I misunderstand the point? Or did I hit the nail on the head? If I misunderstood your point, you have an opportunity at any point to clarify what you mean. But without you clarifying what you mean, and here's the problem, is that by you clarifying what you mean, you're going to eventually, and don't be afraid to do this, you're going to eventually have to say that I have a point. You're going to eventually have to say that I have a point. That's something that even though I might be statistic or literally wrong by saying there hasn't been a Mexican American that has been the face of boxing, because you can say Oscar De La Hoya, but the overall issue that we have of underrepresentation, not just in the sport, but also in the business behind it, we can also say that I have a point. Right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just about being right, man. It's about I'm addressing an issue. And in order for this issue to be valid, I kind of have to be right. If I'm not right, then the issue isn't valid. Then what you're telling me is that we don't have a problem. It's one of the two. And you can say Errol Spence is not the face of boxing. He's a lot closer than anybody else that we have that is Mexican American. He's a lot closer than Jesse Magdaleno. Jesse Magdaleno is nowhere near becoming the next face of boxing, the next young fighter to be noticed out of the United States, to represent the United States. He's not anywhere closer than Wilder. Crawford is so far ahead of him. and Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, shit. I mean, it is the way it is, and then this is a weird part too. Is sometimes we do have to take the role of the victim to point out social issues, right? And and this is one thing that I've said before: African Americans, they speak up a lot more than we do. They do. They speak up a lot more than we do. And I've tried my best to try to say, point out some of the things that are missing, some of the issues that are missing. And same way, I talk about the psychology with Mexican fans that have been going towards Triple G and against Canelo, and I talked a little bit about how us Mexican fans, we have a hard time also taking care of each other. These are topics I've talked about before, but in this instance, when I was talking about the face of boxing, I was talking about Americans. And that does include people of other races. What will it take for people of other races to include us into, what they consider is American? It is what it is, man. You just have to understand where you are and how things are. You are in the United States of America. So you and I, being Mexican American, no matter how good our English is or how we look, because of our last name and the way we speak, we're always Mexican. And it's a little bit of a struggle to prove how American we are. And it goes the other way around too, proving how Mexican we are. It's a constant battle. And that's also something I talked about in this video. So the issue was a much bigger than how small you wanted to make it, where you just try to shut it down with Oscar De La Hoya. But again, all right. So let's. I didn't notice that Dstyle was making comments, so let me see what he wrote. Okay, Aztec. Wait, hold on. I addressed other issues, and you're ignoring them. Well, we can address any issue you have. Let's just get this out of the way. Aztec. Mexican American fighters have historically been overlooked by Mexican Americans. Juan Diaz was booed in his hometown versus Marquez. De La Hoya was a face because white America loved him. Mexican Americans were half and half. The most hateful things I've seen about De La Hoya have been from Mexicans. Mexican Americans, because the support goes to you Mexican nationals. Define face of boxing, Aztec. In my opinion, there's been like 3 faces, maybe 4, last 20 years. Okay, so I'll go over this one by one. Mexican American fighters have historically been overlooked by Mexican Americans. That's true. I agree with that. Yeah, that's true. Mexican Americans, while you're in America, what do you follow? American media. So, how much awareness do we have of the fighters that are available to us to watch and support when the majority of the media is focused on other nationalities? So a lot of this has to do with the type of information that we look for and the type of information that's in front of us. And for not until the last 15 years, where now we have the internet and we have a little bit more freedom of looking up our own information that we want to look for. For half of my life, we didn't have the internet like that, or we weren't using it in that way. and the media has an unbalanced representation of the people that are actually in this country and the people that participate in the sport. There's a reason why it's so easy for the media to portray the Mexican fighter as slow, flat-footed, and a punching bag, a brawler. And even with that, we don't speak up. Now, you would disagree it's deeper than that. It probably is deeper than that. It's a lot deeper than that. But saying that Mexican Americans do not support every Mexican American fighter is not an argument against how a Mexican American fighter can also gain support from other Americans that are not Mexican American. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? I hope that makes sense to you, because it's very clear. That is not an argument against what I am saying. You are just bringing up another issue. This is another issue, another topic that we can discuss. So do Mexican Americans have a hard time supporting other Mexican Americans? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? Guess what? According to the public, according to other people, Mexicans only support Mexicans. That's all we do. According to other people, all we do is support other Mexicans. We don't support black fighters. We don't support fighters from other countries. We are very biased. Only Mexican fighters. Right? But you and I know that that's not true. We have a hard time actually supporting our own, right? That's another issue. That's a separate issue from the original topic. Can we see another or a Mexican American be the face of not boxing, not worldwide? That's too much of a responsibility. I'm talking about just America, the United States, right? The United States. Look up other people's videos, and you look at American fighters that you know, if they're saying there's a lot of issues that come up when, especially with Klitschko and not Klitschko, but Kovalev, Triple G, a lot of the Eastern European fighters that have been coming out and receiving a lot of support. So the YTBC, LDBC, the YouTube boxing community has already addressed this topic. And one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this too, but when we're talking about American fighters, the Mexican American fighter isn't represented there. You'll say, you know, you'll hear people say, you know, Wilder, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, these are American fighters. But the Mexican American fighter does not get included in that. And that's a much bigger issue. That is a much bigger issue. I don't know if you're aware of this, but to most people, you are not American, bro. You are Mexican, and you are here. That's how it is. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people. And that psychology transfers over to how they view sports, politics, media, movies, anything. So let's see here. I don't want to miss a comment, so that way you don't say that I'm picking and choosing what I'm responding to. So I'm going to move on to the next comment. De La Hoya was the face because white America loved him. Mexican America. Well, check this out. De La Hoya was the face of Mexican American boxing. He was loved by women. All right, let's get that straight. He was loved by women. And I don't think you can speak for D-Styles, are you going to tell me that you're speaking for white America? Saying that white people loved him? Growing up, I saw Oscar De La Hoya. I saw him record his album and go on. He was on Univision, Telemundo, on the news channels, on talk shows, and promoting himself to other people. And most of the crowd, what do you see? You see Mexican Americans. He was really big within our community. But as far as him being big for other Americans, you can't say that, man. You have absolutely zero proof. Like, I would love for you to prove to me that white people loved him. I know it'll be very hard to even, whether or not, even if there was proof, to find that kind of proof, but it's so broad. But at the end of the day, you know that the statement you're making is you're reaching for, something that you don't even know that is a fact. You're speaking for people that aren't you. So let's see here. And I'm gonna try to keep up with your comments, but I'm kind of a little bit behind on what you're writing. So if you could just slow down for me just a little bit and let me address some things, and trust me, I'm not a dick. I'm not gonna leave out a comment you make. Since you're taking the time to respond to me, I'm not gonna fucking pick and choose a comment that suits my narrative. I'm gonna read everything that you wrote. So let's see here. So De La Hoya was a face because white America loved him. Mexican Americans were half and half. The most hateful things I've seen about De La Hoya have been from Mexicans. Yeah, the most hateful things that came from, because we were a lot more invested into him. That's the thing. That's a lot of this investment will create either love or hate. And a lot of Mexicans were very invested into Oscar De La Hoya. And the things that he did, they didn't like. They didn't like the way he spoke. They didn't like the way he carried himself. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that Oscar De La Hoya was the face of American boxing. Which will kind of lead to your next comment, or one of your next comments, which is Mexican Americans, because the support goes you Mexican nationals. If you can clarify that, I don't know what you meant by that comment, where you said in one comment you said Mexican Americans, and then in another you said because the support goes you Mexican national. Clarify what that meant. And then you asked, define the face of boxing, Aztec. So, in the easiest way I can explain this, the face of, and I'm talking about American boxing, not boxing as a whole. Obviously, it takes a significant figure to be able to become the face of boxing as a whole. What I'm talking about, strictly here in the United States, where we're 60% of Latinos, and Latinos are 30% of the entire population of the United States, around 30 to 20, high 20%. We are 60% of Hispanics, whatever you would call Hispanic. So we are a majority of a minority that's soon to become a majority. And the fact that we don't have the same representation in this sport where we're heavily active, the same representation that a group of like African Americans, who are just 20%, 10% of the population, and their representation in the sport. And I'm not just talking about who's high level, who's good. It's not always about who's good. It's about who they can sell. And guess what? It's a lot easier to sell Adrian Broner than it is to sell Jesse Vargas. It's a lot easier to sell Adrian Broner than it is to sell Jojo Diaz, Jesse Magdaleno. It is. So as far as what do I mean by the face of American boxing, or what am I trying to get at? What I'm trying to say is where they become one of the most popular boxers in the United States. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to be the most popular. I'm like not even shooting that high. It could be top 5, top 10, but they're not up there. Popular fighters coming from the United States? No. The only thing that keeps them popular is the fact that we Mexican Americans talk about these guys. If we didn't talk about these guys, if we started following football, baseball, basketball, like other people, like other ethnicities, and stop watching boxing, no one would be talking about these guys. These Mexican American fighters would not have a fan base to sell to. That's why when I go to Carson, California, and I go watch a fight in the StubHub Center, guess why they always have Mexican fighters there? Because there's a Mexican crowd. Are you going to see Mexican fighters being sold in, Alabama? Are they going to have a Mexican fighter, in Detroit? Are they ever going to be able to sell 2 Mexican fighters fighting in Detroit? Will that happen? No. How about Virginia? Nope. Florida? Maybe. I mean, we just can't act that as if we don't know where we live. This is the United States of fucking America, bro. Like, some of this shit is kind of common sense. But let's see here. So I'm gonna try to go through a lot of these as quickly as I can. In my opinion, there's been like 3 faces, maybe 4 in the last 20 years. That's right, if you're talking about the face of boxing as a whole. But remember, I'm sticking to United States of America. I'm sticking to our position in the United States of America. That's what I'm talking about, not as a whole. You say I would disagree. It's deeper than that. I hope you clarify on what you mean by that. De La Hoya even talked about it in his book. He was called a pocho by his own people. Yeah, but see, you bring that up, that a lot of Mexican Americans had a lot of hate against Oscar De La Hoya. What is the point, though, when I'm talking about a Mexican American being supported by other Americans? Remember, a Mexican American, we are still Americans. So do you feel like we should only be supported by our own? Like, as an American, we should not try to find some equal ground to be represented also by other Americans that might not look like us? I don't understand where you're getting at, because you keep pointing out that Mexicans were the ones that hated Oscar De La Hoya the most. That is not the point. That is a separate issue. The issue that I am talking about is actually Mexican American representation in the sport of boxing, and this can be other industries too. Media, I've already said this, but you keep trailing off to bringing up other issues, but you're not addressing exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. So let's see here. The mainstream media doesn't even talk boxing, Aztec. Well, guess what? ESPN does talk boxing every now and then, right? Yes, the mainstream media does talk boxing, bro. They do. They do. I don't know if you noticed this, but Sway in the Morning has had boxers on his show. That's where I saw, I think Andre Ward was on there. I think you had, what's his name? Adrian Broner on there. There's media outlets. There's media outside of sports, outside of ESPN, are aware that these other fighters exist because of mainstream media. The reason why these guys are getting exposure in smaller media outlets is because of mainstream media. TMZ will report on what Adrian Broner does. The shit is already known. They are popular. Floyd Mayweather is popular, and he is represented as an American, the American boxer. When a Mexican American boxer gets to a certain point where he's noticed, he is always the Mexican boxer. Do you understand that? I don't know if you think that is an assumption, but in a way, it's a calculated assumption based on the way we see people react and people talk about race. All right, so as for boxing media, they did not demonize Mexican boxers. That's not true. I never said they demonized Mexican boxers. I said that they used negative, like to them, they're trying to, they used to say about, and you know what, I've heard you say this too, so don't say like you disagree, but the stereotype that Julio Cesar Chavez was a comfort fighter that takes 2 punches and gives one, they thought they were giving a compliment. But at the end of the day, it's either it has been flipped or we notice that it's not the most it's not the greatest compliment. It's actually in a way kind of offensive. So that is mainstream media. That is how mainstream media portrayed a Mexican boxer. And that's not a Mexican American boxer because they don't talk about a Mexican American boxer. But that has been a Mexican boxer. And that is and it was so powerful and so well done that stereotype has not just, it didn't just stay with Julio Cesar Chavez. That has gone and been labeled onto every and stamped onto every Mexican boxer that exists. It is what it is, man. So we got Europeans saying that they're Mexican style. Well, of course they're saying that they're Mexican style. You know, you do have Europeans say that they're Mexican style. And then you got people from America saying that, you know, they're complaining. Why are Mexicans? Why are they saying that Mexicans are entertaining? And there's 2 sides to every coin. You got Europeans saying that they're Mexican style. Maybe Europeans appreciate our style a little bit more than other Americans. My issue is not with the world. You got to understand. Again, I'm talking about the perception of America, United States. You keep trailing off to other things. Goes back to what I said about white America. What did you say about white America? Aztec, at my old job, I saw the accounts that ordered De La Hoya fights. You just need to use your common sense. No one sells over 1 million pay-per-view with just Mexican fans. They don't? They don't? We got like 30 million here in this country. You don't think we can sell with just Mexican fans 1 million? You got to be out your goddamn mind. That is insane. Fuck, look at Selena. Remember Selena? She went platinum with the Mexican American fans. That's all she needed. We have enough Mexicans to be able to get people to that level. Yeah, you can't sell 1 million with just Mexicans. I don't know where you're getting that. It wasn't investment. It was that he carried the American flag. Any Mexican Americans didn't see him as a real Mexican. Even De La Hoya stated this in his book. Yeah, dude, you keep going back to that. I understand that. Dude, it's going over your head. That's not the point. I get it. One of the issues is that he dealt with was Mexican Americans that were against him. I get it. I get that. That existed. That happened. There were a lot of them. I get it. That has nothing to do with the topic I'm trying to talk about when it comes down to Mexican Americans getting the support of other Americans that are not Mexican. We are American. Do you understand that concept? Mainstream media, where a majority of its audience is white, because they're the majority in this country, always covered De La Hoya fights heavily. Top broadcasters talked about De La Hoya. Mainstream media, where a majority of its audience is white, because they're the majority of this country, always covered De La Hoya fights. Dude, do you not understand? The fact that the only name that you could bring up is De La Hoya means that there's a problem. The United States is what? 400 years old. Mexican Americans, we've been here thousands of years. And the fact that since boxing has been the one of the major sports in the United States, and since California was founded, we've had participants in American sports that are Mexican. And you're telling me that let's go back the last 100 years, since the early 1900s, that we only have one person that you're able to bring up. You don't think that that is a problem. Okay, fine. I'm missing your point because you're addressing a comment in real time, and then I get it 5 minutes later. I understand. All right, so let me just stop trying to work my way backwards. Let me just ask you straight up. We agree. We got Oscar De La Hoya, the one guy that's gotten closest to becoming the face of the United States boxing. My question is it acceptable that we only have one? Is that okay? Is there something that is missing here? With how many fighters that we've had participate, become world champion, should there not be more? Should we not try to ask these questions now so we can pave and make it easier for future generation of Mexican American boxers to try to relate? What do they have to do? Some people say that if you speak English, it helps. Look, these type of conversations, they're progressive conversations. Your conversation that you're trying to have is trying to shut it down, saying, well, we got Oscar De La Hoya and Mexicans hated him, so, you can't complain and you can't say anything. Like, if that's where you're at, you're shutting down the conversation and you're shutting down, trying to at least get to a point where we have progress. All right, sorry about that, guys. I kind of just jump in and out. I think Mikey Garcia is doing just fine, even if he was inactive for a while. You think Mikey Garcia is doing just fine? Okay. I think Mikey Garcia is doing just fine. Dude, man, I think it's going over your head, honestly. By you bringing up one name at a time, like Oscar De La Hoya and you got Mikey Garcia, I just want a simple yes or no. Is there something, do you think this problem is worth addressing? How about that? Let me keep it simple. Do you think that it's worth addressing or no? See, this is why I had a problem with you. Because I was trying to figure out what the main issue was with you. Because some of the things that I was bringing up, you got to understand whether you think is important or not. There's other Mexican Americans that had the same questions. They have the same inclinations. They're not identifying it. No one else is talking about it. And there's truth to what I'm saying, dude. But I think that the overall conversation is going over your head. I'm trying to understand your point. Is your point that we have Oscar De La Hoya, so that's it. That's enough. Me bringing it up is stupid. I shouldn't even complain about it. I'm just going in circles here with you, Dstyles. It seems like we're not really getting anywhere. So I've been on here for an hour, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit over it. So I'm just gonna end it at that. No. You're not getting it, D-Styles. You're still not getting it. What I'm asking, very simple, dude. It's a very simple question. Is there a problem with the representation of Mexican Americans in boxing? Do we have enough representation? Are we getting the same amount of representation in boxing like everyone else? It's that simple, and it's very broad. Can two Mexican American fighters sell in Virginia, in Alabama, in South Carolina, North Carolina? There's a problem. There's a problem. That's it. There is a problem. That's all you got to say, dude. The fact that you're arguing makes absolutely no sense. But let me read the rest of your comment. But Mexican Americans have just as much to blame as it is for white America. Dude, you're not getting it, man. This isn't about blame. You're not getting it. It's going over your head. There's a problem. You just admitted that there's a problem. So we agree on this. So why the fuck did you spend your fucking video responding to me when you agree with me? This is my point. This is why I wanted to get you to just come on. And it took an hour to get to this point, dude. You fight me tooth and nail to just say there is a problem. Yes, the overall picture that I'm trying to paint, there's validity to it. You might not agree with everything I'm saying. Word for word, you probably don't agree with everything I'm saying. And there's probably a few things that I'm wrong on. But the overall topic that I'm bringing up is not far-fetched. I raised my voice at second part of my comment. Okay, I'll lower my voice when I read the whole thing. There's a problem, but Mexican Americans have just as much to blame for it as white America. Like, you're still not understanding what I'm trying to tell you. You said there's a problem. Now you're saying you don't agree. Dude, oh, Jesus Christ. So there isn't a problem. All right, so you're cool with Oscar De La Hoya, that is enough. We shouldn't ask for more. And if you do ask for more, you're playing victim. Me bringing up this topic had nothing to do with other channels. What do they want? What do they have to do with it? I mean, other channels can't really fix this. It's one of those broad topics where you just discuss it. You just discuss it. Get what I'm saying? Pretty much any topic that has to do with boxing cannot be solved with other channels. Like, what the fuck? Then why talk boxing if everything led to what can other channels do to make it better? Can't do shit. But we can discuss it. That's the whole point of us coming on here and expressing our views. But the thing is that, I saw other people challenge me on this, and it was a little bit annoying seeing that the only other Mexican American channel, which is you, that I'm familiar with, is the only one that took the time out of his day to shut down my argument. And again, you're not really straightforward, dude. You're not straightforward with what you're trying to say. One minute, yes, there is a problem. Next minute, you don't agree with me. Like, bro, man, it's what are you trying to read into? Shit gets a little confusing. Just tell me what you want done. Wait, what do you want channels to do about this problem you talk about? Just tell me what you want done. So when someone gives you their opinion, don't get mad. No, I get a little frustrated when it's hard to pull the point that you're trying to make out of you. That gets frustrating, but you giving my opinion or you giving your opinion doesn't piss me off. Um, just tell me what you want done. Well, that's kind of an asshole question, right? Because you're trying to make it seem like as if this is something that you can handle. Well, how do I explain what do I want done? What I would want is to have a dialogue, a real dialogue, not someone being sarcastic or someone being an asshole about the topic. I would want to have a real dialogue. That's what I would want. That's it. I would want that, a real dialogue, right? There's a lot of nuance, Aztec, and it's confusing you. No, dude, you can't. That's your favorite word, nuance, right? Certain things, yeah, there is nuance. There's a lot of nuance of what I'm speaking about, and you make it very literal, right? Kind of what led you to talking about Oscar De La Hoya and Mexicans and not supporting other Mexican Americans. The type of nuance that I portrayed went over your head. So you're you're battling me, but I don't think you really have quite a grasp on what point you're trying to make. If with me it's very simple, very simple. I'd like to see Mexican Americans get the same kind of attention as other American fighters of other races, other ethnicities. I would like to see the Mexican American fighter be considered an American fighter rather than always being labeled as the Mexican in the ring. I would like to be able to do that and still be able to have the Mexican fighters represent their Mexican heritage. You know, I think it's possible to do both, but I would like to see that happen. How do we get there? I don't know. Is there something you can do about it? Maybe not challenge these conversations. Maybe not trying to shut down a conversation like this. That's something I would like you to do. How about that? How about you know, you can do whatever you want, man. I mean, you can try to shut it down. It just seems that at the end of the day, you can't get mad if someone looks at you a certain way when an important conversation like this comes up. And again, if you look at my comment section, like when I brought up that topic and when I brought up other topics, there's people that also feel the same way. And they're not all Mexicans. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're black, and they agree with me. You're the only one fucking you're challenging me. You're the only like that's the weird part about it, man. It's like I'm stuck in the twilight zone right now. Cuz you're arguing with me, but it's not clear what you're trying to say. You're bringing up other issues to mask my point. So I'm trying to think, are you purposely trying to derail me so you can say, well, look, Aztec doesn't know what he's talking about, he's full of shit? Because if you are, you're doing a good job at it, and that's really good. But if that's not your intention and your intention is to participate, then I feel like your point is your point is it's I would say it's unclear, and it's kind of hard for me to put my finger on what you're trying to say. You're probably limited to what you can type as I'm talking, so I mean, I'm not gonna blame you 100% for that, but it'd be nice if you did a video clarifying what you're trying to say, because at this point, it's a lot of back and forth. It's hard to have a dialogue with you because you easily get mad. I'm just trying to move on to other points you want to make. What's it matter to you if I challenge your argument? It's done. Well, no, matter, dude. What's it matter? It doesn't matter. Same way it doesn't matter. What did it matter that I said that you're fucked up for waiting until Boxing Librarian closed down his channel for you to start talking shit? What does that matter, right? But you decided to respond to me. So this is what we do. Why you pretend like this isn't what we do? You know what I mean? Let's see here. Derail you. You are way too defensive. Relax. Well, no, I'm trying to say, like, it seems like a derailment. Like, I'm saying I would like to see Mexican Americans be represented in boxing, and you say, well, Mexican Americans don't support other Mexican Americans. So that's a derailment because you're changing the topic. That's a separate issue. It's a very true issue. You're bringing up something that's a fact, and I understand it's a fact. I'm not going to argue that it's not, but it's a separate issue. So by derailing, that's as far as I go. You're changing the subject. So I'm curious to know, why are you changing the subject? Is it because you don't know how to talk about this subject, or you don't want to talk about this subject? Or is it that, you're not understanding my point? I don't know what it is. I can only sit here and assume what it is. Oh, yeah, the token Mexican comment. Let's do that. Let's do that, man. So, what problem did you have with? So, this is one of the funny things that I have. You seem to be very outspoken, very open minded about a lot of the channels, like channels that I've called out. Precise Presenter. Just these channels that have been openly racist, and obviously they deserve a lot of the backlash that they get, right? But what's funny is that especially with me, you've always had a problem with me responding to racist channels. Some of those channels happen to be part of the LDBC, right? So you've had no problem with me, maybe calling out Precise Presenter, Max Barewell. I didn't see you bat an eye to those. But when I've responded to Down Business, to John Boxing, when I've made responses to them, you told me that, oh, well, you shouldn't, it's not that I would ignore it, but I wouldn't bring it up. That's what I remember. You left a comment like that. So yeah, I'm calling you the token Mexican, man. The token Mexican, because you're cool with Dream Chasing Boxing. You're cool with him. This isn't just him going on your comment section and saying good video and stuff like that. That doesn't matter. I mean, anyone can leave comments on your comment section, right? But I just noticed it was kind of weird how with Boxing Librarian, you really made it a point to defend dream chasing boxing, right? And you've gone out of your way a little bit to tell me that I shouldn't tell these guys that what they say is racist or challenge their ideas or talk about my perspective as a Mexican American. And these are prevalent, these are things that we see that are obvious in both LDBC and YTBC. And I've addressed channels on both sides. But you, on the other hand, you're very selective. You're very safe with the people that you'll address me, you'll address Precise Presenter, you'll address Sean Newton, you'll address these other guys, right? But you have a problem when I address certain channels in the LDBC, and yeah, I have a feeling like you're. What are you trying to do? Like, why are you so defensive with the LDBC? That's my question. Hey, what's up, Zone 6? What's up, man? I've had my hands full today. I don't know if you can notice, but let's see here. I never liked PP. Which racist channels? What's Dream Chasing Boxing said that's racist? Well, Dream Chasing Boxing actually had this channel called oh shit. What was the name of that channel? I can't remember, but I know that he's defended a lot of other channels like John Boxing and Town Business, other channels that have been openly racist, and I'm not saying Dream Chasing Boxing is racist. I can't. I don't have anything on them like that. I disagreed with one of their videos, and I told them that I disagreed with them, and they were assholes about it. So I stopped watching their videos. I really didn't leave it after that. But it's not them. It's the circle around them, which is the same reason that I had a problem with, like, all of this is starting to come together. Like the same problem I had with Outside the Ropes. It's like you're cool with certain races, but you don't want to address other races. Like it's like you guys don't have this you have like this feeling where you're going to get on me for addressing a racist, and then you fucking hypocrite will go and turn around and do the same thing, but you feel like it's justified because that racist is of a certain complexion. I mean, I treat them all the same. I'll trash them the same. I don't understand why you have such a big problem with me addressing black channels. Dstyle, what is it? So you've never addressed black channels? No. Well, you went in on 268, and I remember there was also uh, BK Warriors, right? BK Warriors, but those are easy targets. You know what I mean? Those guys are openly crazy. They'll say whatever the fuck they want, right? But I like you keep asking me what channels. John Boxing, Town Business. There's a few other channels I've unscribed for the past year, so forgive me if I can't remember their fucking name. But Dante's Boxing Nation is probably someone that I'm sure you're very fucking familiar with, right? I'm just saying you can't ignore some of the topics that have been brought up, even by channels that are not racist, that touch on race, and not just race, not just with Europeans or white people, but also specifically address Mexican Americans. And you don't talk about that shit, and you don't like it when I try to talk about that shit. And I don't understand what your problem is. So I don't understand why it is that you have a problem with me saying that I don't see that a Mexican American boxer might become the face of American boxing. And that I address racist channels regardless of their skin color. You seem to be very selective. Boxing Wizard. Yeah, that's an old channel. Okay, you dude, don't pat yourself on the back because you did one or like I said, man, lightning can strike once or twice. I get it, man. I get it. It's not what you do. It's not what you do. And you do responses, but you're so vague about who you're talking about. You're so scared to say the person's name because you want to show that you're above it all. But it just makes it more complicated because now I got to read into who you're talking about. So maybe you've addressed this more than once, and it's just fucking hard to tell when you're not straight up. With me, I'm straight up. I'll tell the name that I'm talking about, and I talk about the issue. It's that simple. I'll talk about exactly what it is that they mentioned in their video. I did a whole video about Mexicans don't like black people, right? That is actually, I don't know if you're aware of this, Dstyle, but when you're not in the room, if you're talking to LDBC channels, guess what? If they're talking about Mexicans, guess what the consensus would be? That Mexicans do not like black people, right? And it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So I felt like that conversation might be a uncomfortable one. It might be something that is touchy. It's risky to have that kind of conversation. But I felt like I should give my perspective as a Mexican American who has close people in my life that are African Americans, that I would want to also give my perspective on how I was raised and how I grew up. And you pretend like these problems aren't there. You're a very safe character for them, you know. So I do think you are a token Mexican in the group because it feels like they can easily use you, and it's not like you're trying to be the token Mexican. It's that you are the token Mexican for them. It's easy for them to say, "Well, of course I like Mexicans. I watch D-style boxing. I have no problems with Mexicans. I like D-style." You get that, right? Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being the token Mexican. You're the reason why you're the token Mexican is because you're safe. You don't talk about these things. You don't talk about the issues that, maybe might be tough to talk about. You just don't do that. So, in essence, whether you believe it or not, whether you choose it or not, you are the token Mexican, bro. You are. That's just the way it is. In the LDBC, you're the token Mexican. I don't know what is said when I'm not in the room. I imagine it might be what is said about black people when they're not in the room. Well, no, you don't understand. Not every black boxing channel thinks this way. Not every black boxing channel thinks this way. Like, do you understand that part? The LDBC does not represent all black channels. Like, I don't want people to get that twisted, and you shouldn't get that twisted too. When I'm talking about the LDBC and the channels that have been around you, they're channels that have been specifically separating themselves, segregated themselves from other channels for racial reasons. You understand that, right? It's not just to go against racists. It's also to go against people that have addressed them for being racist. Do you understand that? D-Styles. He has ever criticized 78 or Blood openly. Yeah, yeah. You're responding to respond bumbling YTBC cop. What's up, man? What's up? D Styles and the instigator. I wouldn't say he's the instigator. He's not that good at instigating problems. I think he's just a passive aggressive type of dude that gets on people for doing things, and then he does the exact same thing. The same way he got on Zone 6 for calling people out, then he turns around and calls out other channels. Um, he says some very hypocritical shit, you know? You're only human, bro. Like, but don't act like you don't. Um, I don't know. And here's the thing, D Style. You say name me the channel. Name you the channel for what? What fucking channel do you want, dude? You, look, you're on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. We both see the same shit. Do not have me lead you in. I'm not gonna hold your hand. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it. Then that's it. It's at that. But it's hard for me to believe that you don't see what I see. It's hard for me to believe because you're not stupid. There's a lot of these, and I've been using this "you're not stupid" reference for a lot of people that I know are not dumb, but for some reason you're pretending to be dumb. You're pretending not to see certain shit. So you want me to address the that you're the elephant in the room, that you're the token Mexican. Whether you chose that role or not, it doesn't matter. You were chosen as the token Mexican, bro. What are you gonna do about that? I don't know. You probably shouldn't do anything. Keep doing you. But just understand the role that you play when you have LDBC channels backing you up. And trust me, if you started going against Andre Ward, and you started going against black fighters, I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of other racist channels on the other side of the color spectrum that are going to also use you as a token Mexican. See, I'm not a token Mexican. You can't use me because I will call you out. Black, white, Asian, Mexican, I will call you out. It is what it is. I don't watch every channel. You watch the same channels I watch, dude. You've been on this YouTube shit as long as I have, or longer. You know what I'm talking about. Do not play ignorant. You know what I'm talking about. So this plain ignorant shit, it's not gonna play. It's just not gonna fly, man. It's not. Just like I pretend not to see my comment section. No, I see it. I just don't delete the comments because I'm not a babysitter. I'm a fucking adult and you're an adult too. And if you have a problem with a comment on my comment section, address the person making the comment. It is what it is. You're a fucking adult, dude. You know what I mean? There's been countless times. Remember, I've been on this YouTube shit for a while. Countless times where I was on 78's channel and I was called a beaner and wetback and for talking boxing. And what does that make 78 racist? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make him racist. It would be fucking ignorant of me to fucking go online and say, "Hey, I see your comment section. I see the." Come on, dude. You want to talk about straw man arguments? That's a top 5 quality straw man argument right there. Used to be unsubscribed to Dstyle 78 and other channels. I'm subscribed to a few channels now. Dstyle kisses too much ass. Okay, Dstyle. You say, I went against Mayweather. I went against Broner. I went against plenty of black fighters. Dude, this isn't about criticizing fighters, bro. This has nothing to do with criticizing fighters. I know you've criticized black fighters. I've never said you didn't. Why are you making this again into a straw man argument? That is not what I'm addressing. What I'm addressing is when you have blatant generalizations about Mexicans and you overlook that in those same channels that come onto your channel to say, hey, good video. I like your D-Style. D-Style, good job. They're the same ones that think that you and your family hate black people. Do you understand that? And instead of coming on here and saying, "Look, man, we don't hate black people. We look, you know, this is my perspective." I like you don't even address it. I'm not telling you to go on there and say "fuck you" and hate on them. I'm not telling you, but you don't address these fucking issues, dog. And when I try to address it, you don't like that I'm addressing it. So you don't want anybody talking about this shit. And that's the shit there where I'm saying you make for the perfect token Mexican, dude. You make for it. You embody it. You play the role, whether you have consciously accepted it or not. You fit the profile for it. I was called a spick the other day. You're not the only one. I believe it, dude. I believe it. The hate is real. I believe it. I believe that you've been called many different names. I believe you've been attacked by your own people. I believe that you've been attacked by white channels, and I believe that you've probably been attacked by other black channels too. But that's not my point. You don't fucking make again. You do a very good job of bringing up other aspects of other conversations, other issues, other things. What I'm saying is the LDBC, the LDBC, aside from 78, because I have no, I don't think 78 is, I think he started something and it got bigger than him. Other channels that consider themselves LDBC, there are channels in there that have made it very clear how they feel about Mexicans. Now you can say you've ignored those videos. You can say you've never watched those videos, but they exist. So you don't have to address them. You don't have to. But when I do, don't fucking get on my shit. Don't get on my channel and tell me that I'm playing victim or that I'm selective with the people that I'm fucking addressing. That shit fucking is not your place. If you're not paying attention, you're not watching what's going on, then mind your business. Keep minding your business. Leave. Do not tell me that I'm not justified for responding because you look like you're complacent with your position. It looks like you're just okay. You're okay with one Mexican fighter that you can name as the face of American boxing. You're okay with the channels that come to you and say, "Hey, good job." They're the ones that have clearly stated how they feel about your people. You're okay with that. That is you. That is fine. That's not me, bro. You honestly sound like a whiny little bitch, bro. Look, man. Um, you can't start a conversation and then not like where it's going. You know what I mean? I really think that you probably need to sit down and think about like, should you have even responded to me? Because if this is not what you wanted, if you did not want this dialogue, this back and forth, you could have ignored it. But you didn't. You want to have this conversation. You don't like the direction it's going. You don't like the fact that there's other people that actually agree with me when I say this shit. There's going to be people that agree with you. I don't mind us, keeping our distance. I don't mind it. I'm not going to miss your WWE videos. I'm not going to miss it. So it's quite all right. It's quite all right. I watched. Look, man, I've been on YouTube for a while. 4 or 5 years ago, I was watching your videos, and you still have the same content. You repeat the same thing over and over again. So I feel like I've probably watched all your videos already that you have made and will make in the future because you're just gonna repeat the same shit over and over again. I'm not. No, I'm not okay with people hating my people. That's what you're saying. No, that's you. Obviously, I'm making an over assumption, right? I'm making over assumption, but you're really not helping me change my opinion or me. See, you're not helping it, dude. Your actions speak louder than words. It is what it is. Actions speak louder than words, man. You've been on here for a long time. You've had the opportunity to address certain people. You don't. It is what it is. You don't. You've just said that you don't know who they are. You don't notice it. Then you don't notice it. You're oblivious to what's going on around you. That's fine. That is you, not me. I didn't open up a YouTube channel so I could not talk about shit. I opened up a YouTube channel so I could talk about the things that I'm seeing. I was choking up there. Don't cry. Dude, Dstyle, man, how old are you, bro? Because you and I are about the same age. I'm 30 years old. I would assume you're probably what, 32, 33? Right? Grow up, dude. Like, grow thicker skin. Um, if someone addresses you, you can address back. You can talk shit with me. That's cool. I'm open to talk shit. Um, I'm not gonna disrespect you and call you a little bitch or anything like that. Just because if I do go in on you, it's gonna be funny as fuck, and I'm gonna save it for another video, so other people can see. But uh, if this bothered you, you shouldn't have brought up the elephant in the room, bro. You wanted to address it. Give you my opinion. You are the token Mexican for the LDBC. They use you to say, "Oh well, there's no way I could be racist. Look, man, I hit thumbs up on D-Style's video. I look at your fucking comments, bro. Guess what? You don't even get comments. You'll have 300 views and one fucking comment. No one participates in your videos. They maybe even say good job, but there's no fucking actual participation. There's no dialogue. There's no conversation. It's fucking it's just here. I'm gonna click a thumbs up on D-Style's video because D-Style is the safe token Mexican in our group, and we gotta keep them. Gotta keep them active. Thick skin. You're very sensitive. Am I sensitive? I mean, yeah, maybe I am on certain things. Maybe I am. Are you man enough to admit that you're sensitive? There's certain things that do bug me that I am sensitive about. There's certain things I'm not. Certain things you might think I give a fuck, but I don't. You know, it might make you feel better if you believe that I gave a fuck about certain things. But guess what? There's a lot of things I don't. Like for example, your opinion of me, dude. I don't give a fuck. Um, it's not that serious. Does Coach hate Mexicans? Honestly, I don't know. Does he hate Mexicans? I don't know. But I do know that he's very cool with town business, and he's defended town business. He says that's one of his buddies. He knows that he's a good guy, and so do I think he hates Mexicans? No, I don't think so. I think I just don't trust his character judgment. I would not hang around with the same group that he hangs around with. So it's that simple. So guess what? Birds of a feather flock together. So at the end of the day, I don't mind cutting him off either. My voice is shaking. Hopefully you can understand what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm cutting it out, but and if you hear me cough, I'm about to smoke, so don't fucking make it seem like I'm crying a river over what the big bad bully D-Style was saying. You know, there was a comment that I found in my comment section that was Dstyle's comment, and I found it interesting because it was just a little bit over the top, a little bit far fetched, but you made this broad statement that there's no one on YouTube, no one around that is more proud to be Mexican than you. That you speak fluent Spanish, which I do too. I read, speak, write fluent Spanish. Actually, that was my first language, and I learned English later. But you act like you're, that's a testament to how proud you are of being Mexican. And you said, you listen to Tigres del Norte, like as if that's supposed to be like, holy shit, stamp of approval, that this guy is 100% agave. He's pure fucking Mexican. Like, get the fuck out of here. You want to show that you're proud to be Mexican, then show a little bit of pride when you start noticing that there's a clear sentiment about you and your people. How about instead of challenging the ones that are trying to defend our pride in our culture, instead of attacking us, maybe show a little bit of pride and stand with us. And to you, I get it. You're going to say, that just sounds too nationalistic. That's not what you're about. Whatever. You stand however you want to stand, man. You're Dstyle boxing. At the end of the day, you're the token Mexican. Just because I'm not a whiny little bitch. Well, you kind of are a whiny little bitch, Dstyle. Like, you are a whiny little bitch. You just whine about Pokemon and what's going on in WWE. You're a whiny little bitch about, Sean Newton and his, his fucking videos on Death Row. And you know what? To be honest, I think Sean Newton goes over the top sometimes. I don't even watch his it's not, I get uncomfortable watching his channel because I, for the most part, disagree with his social and political views, and they overwhelm the point that he's trying to make in his video. So I'm not even going to try to defend it, but at the end of the day, you're a whiny little bitch when you talk about other channels too, bro. You just are a whiner. Doesn't mean I don't have pride. No, it means that you don't have self-respect or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. It means like you're okay. You're just cool. You're fine. You're fine. It's all right. Sean Noon, come on, Ben Umar, dude. Ben Umar, don't test me like that. I don't use fucking derogatory terms towards anyone, man. I don't. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think that if you heard what I said, you understand that maybe you and I agree that Sean Noon goes over the top and says things that are out of line. 100%. I agree with you. But I'm not going to go out of my way and become racist and use those terms out of anger or something like that. Like, do you know how many times, like, I've never used the N-word to talk about black people that have insulted me. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do that with white people either. I'm not, it's just not the way I work. So it kind of pisses me off when I had, outside the ropes come out here and call me a fucking secret racist or whatever the fuck you wanted to say. He can go fucking sit on a dick. I don't give a fuck. I think he's a closet faggot. I really don't care. Parroting how original. Dstyle, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, how often, Dstyles, with your personality, I guarantee you've been told to shut the fuck up quite a few times in your life by people that you love because you're fucking annoying. I know you have. I know you're that fucking dude in the corner when someone's having a fucking deep conversation and you come in and you fucking say some stupid ass shit, dude. And people got to tell you to shut the fuck up. I think you get that constantly. Is Sean worse than Precise? No, Precise was over the top. Um, no, Sean Noon is not as close to Precise. This is like boxing. Being racist is like boxing. There's levels to this. And if Sean Noon was a racist, he's a C-level racist. Like, he's not that great at it. Precise Presenter, that fool was A-level racist. His technique and his form was 100% on point. All right, I'm leaving here because